Hi, everyone. As Susanna said, I'm Kitty Salen. I'm really happy to be here. Games for Change is one of my favorite festivals. So today I'm going to talk about all of the things that we as developers, parents, educators, and gamers get wrong about kids' online game behavior, particular behavior that we see as toxic, disruptive, or just plain bad. My first goal is to help shift the frame away from what kids are doing to focus instead on why they're doing it, and more specifically, why they need to do it from a developmental perspective. My second goal is to convince you that kids are a key lever in changing the culture and climate of online gaming for everyone. So first, a bit about me. I'm a designer, educator, and gamer who's on a mission to make the internet more kid-friendly. I teach at UCI, run a nonprofit called Connected Camps, and collaborate with a lot of amazing people from Games for Change and the Connected Learning Lab on a cross-sector initiative, as Susanna mentioned, called Raising Good Gamers. I spend a lot of time hanging out with kids, designing, listening, and learning from them. And they've convinced me of two things definitively. First, games are life. Today, video gameplay is an integral part of children's social lives. And part of growing up healthy and well-adjusted is playing games. In fact, video games are so integral to growing up today that not playing video games tends to be an indicator that a child is socially disconnected. The second thing that kids have convinced me of is that online games are broken when it comes to supporting the needs of youth adolescents between the ages of 8 and 12. Now, I'm going to focus my talk today on this age group for a couple of reasons. First, the transition into adolescence constitutes a really important window of opportunity, which can set and reset developmental trajectories with a lasting impact. So in other words, this age matters. Second, development at this age centers around peers, identity development, and risk-taking, a combination of variables that leave many youth vulnerable and ill-prepared for online play. It's also an age when kids' gaming habits really start to shift. In addition to playing more and more multiplayer games online, in some cases with people they don't know, they're also playing titles that are rated 13 plus and streaming gamers who target 13 plus audiences. So let's start with what we know. First, we know that children are growing up in a world that was never conceived to be a place where their childhood would be spent. Current paradigms of adult-identified harms fail to recognize the interests, needs, and rights of children. Next, we know that platforms are designed to be attractive to our children, but they're not optimized in any way for them developmentally. Online gaming communities, for example, look quite differently when we look at them from the point of view of a young adolescent and their ability to meet his, her, their developmental goals. Experimentation is critical for kids of this age, for example, as they explore and develop their identity. They have to be able to take risks in order to build social emotional skills like resilience, self-confidence, and ease with others that are critical to the transition to adulthood. But research has shown that social experimentation goes down when the amount of time spent with non-peers increases online. Finding peers to play with is therefore not just a nice goal for our kids in online games, but one that is absolutely critical to their development as humans. We also know that many children, especially those growing up in low-income households, are less likely to have their online environments tailored and protected by adults. Parental controls, for example, as they're currently designed, only work when a parent or other caring adult is around to use them. Many youth instead rely on peers or on older siblings to help them learn the ropes for online play. Such modeling may reproduce harms of toxic and disruptive behavior while failing to address issues of privacy and safety needed by younger players. We know that developmental needs drive behavior at any age. 10 to 12-year-olds have specific needs which drive the choices that they're making online. As I've mentioned, they need to spend time with peers. They need to experiment and take risks, and they need to be given boundaries. And these things sometimes don't seem to go together when we think about design. We know that their gaming practices occur within an ecosystem of related practices that can span school, after school, and home contexts. Kids are playing games, watching games, developing content about the games, and they're talking about those games. We should think about support and safety across a network of practices rather than situated within a kind of single platform or a single game. So given all that we know, what do we get wrong about young adolescents' social gaming behavior? Okay, so here are 6 things that come to mind. First, intent. We often think that kids who grief do it on purpose, but research shows that most kids who grief do so accidentally because they're having a bad day or simply because they don't understand the norms of a particular community. This is especially true of players who are joining a game for the first time or playing a genre for a very first time. Identity. Your kids aren't griefers. They probably are. And given their developmental needs, it's probably a good thing. Young adolescents need to push against the rules as a way to make sense of social norms and to experiment with their identity. Response. Same offense, same penalty. So the same behavior by a 12-year-old and a 30-year-old does not mean the same thing, and it shouldn't be treated in the same way. Kids need support and scaffolds that look differently than the types of support and scaffolds we might provide for an adult. Providing them is one way to build social and civic resilience, again, for these kids at a time in their lives when that kind of development is absolutely critical. Target. So there's often a conception that kids tilt out of anger and that their tilting is directed at others. But what research is showing is that players most often tilt because they're mad at themselves, not mad at other players. So it becomes an issue of helping kids self-regulate around their perceptions of self, again, related to issues of identity. Context. Toxic behavior is always harmful. This is something we hear again and again. Toxicity is bad. But context matters when it comes to behavior. Young adolescents will tell you that they know the difference between what they might term friendly toxic and toxic toxic. Friends or friendly competitors may engage in trash talking, for example, that's not received negatively. The same language used among strangers, however, can have harmful effects, particularly on non-dominant or minoritized youth. Last, outcome. Benefits and harms are equitable. Impact is not the same for all kids. The reality is that kids from lower income households, as well as vulnerable populations like BIPOC and LGBTQ plus kids, are harmed more by negative events online. So now we get to the part of the talk where I suggest 3 ways as a community of parents, researchers, educators, developers, funders, and policymakers that we can take action to better support our kids in the games that we make and support them around. The list is certainly not definitive, and I encourage you to keep your ears open for additional ideas shared by speakers in other sessions. First, we need to simply acknowledge that kids are on 13 plus platforms. Once we do this, we're then going to be able to design for their needs and their interests. So here's an example. Supercell is a Finnish game company, and they have changed the way that they represent information on safety and privacy to their players. Rather than assume that parents are the audience for information on parental controls, they instead assume that it is a child who will be accessing the material. This approach acknowledges that youth have the capacity for ownership and control over some of the mechanisms shaping the culture and climate of their play. Second, we really need to shift from a policing and surveilling attitude to one that scaffolds and supports. Young adolescents are hardwired to break rules and learn from their mistakes when supported in the right ways. Cartoon Network recently released a report on tween cyberbullying that showed that kids were willing, for the most part, to step in and help, but they often lack the know-how for how to do so, particularly in online games. We need to build environments that let kids fail in ways that keep them safe, but also provide context for learning how to resolve conflict, solve problems, and interact with a diverse set of others. And then last, we have to give kids a seat at the table. We have to acknowledge the expertise of youth and provide genuine opportunities for their voices to be heard when it comes to the needs of gamers, their needs as gamers. Roblox, for example, has an active youth advisory board that is tapped monthly for input and ideas. Games for Change and the Connected Learning Lab at UCI recently partnered with the TED Ed Student Talk program to work with 30 youth to develop TED-style talks on their experiences as gamers. 5 of those talks will be shared at the festival tomorrow afternoon, and youth will also be in conversation with developers from Minecraft and Roblox at a session called The Kids Are Mostly All Right on Wednesday, and I encourage you to check them out. So one final example. At Connected Camps, a nonprofit I run with Mimi Ito, we run a Minecraft server that's free and open to kids 8 to 13, that's open 365 days a year. Last month, a group of players asked if there was a way that they could share their pronouns with other kids on the server. The server provides a drop-in environment where kids may come to the server a couple times a week. They may skip a couple weeks and come back, skip a month and come back. And this was something the kids felt was really important since they were constantly meeting new kids, but also becoming reacquainted with other kids. The server plugins that you can kind of find online tend to affix a pronoun to a player's username in the text chat, an approach that our players thought was too static and intrusive. Instead, under the direction of one of our server moderators, Thomas Feltz, who started on our server as a 12-year-old 7 years ago, they developed a pronoun garden in Minecraft. Players can visit the garden, step on custom pressure plates, and toggle a select pronoun on or off above the head of their avatar. It's an elegant and very youth-centric approach. When it was first rolled out, 78% of the players visited the garden and tagged their pronouns. I see an enormous need for this kind of work, designing developmentally sensitive features, tools, and platforms for young adolescents that acknowledge their goals, needs, voices, and expertise. The initiative Raising Good Gamers, which I'm going to bring Susanna Pollock on now to provide some updates around, is one small way we're working to challenge some of the assumptions and misperceptions I've talked about today. I'd like to welcome you all to join us in our efforts. Susanna?
Hello, Katie. How are you?
Fine. Good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for that really interesting talk. We are going to tape it, or it has been taped because I need to listen to it again. A lot of stuff that you put in there, but thank you. So I'm excited now to join you as we give an update on what's been going on with Raising Good Gamers. It's been a pleasure to work with you over the past year. There's a number of us here at Games for Change and your team over at UCI focusing on this effort. Let's call up some slides. Why don't we do that? We'll call up some slides and we'll walk through some of our activity. You want to give it a, you want to start?
Yep, I can start with this. So, the initiative started, more than a year ago, and one of our core pillars was this idea of youth voice, which I talked a little bit about in the talk today. And so we've been working really hard to find ways to sort of amplify young people's voices in this initiative. A lot of this work is very, again, as I have mentioned, sort of very adult-led. We don't actually know too much about how kids think about their experiences online, the words that they use, their behaviors, the kind of solutions that they have in mind. So over the past year, we've been lucky to have some funding by a couple of different funders. The Susan Crown Exchange, for example, has funded a program called Amplify Youth Voice. And this has been a partnership between Games for Change and the Connected Learning Lab, where we've worked with the Dream Yard, DYBX program in the Bronx, to work with young people in a kind of workshop environment. It was originally designed for being in person. Of course, the pandemic happened, everything moved online. An online program, a 9-week program, where young people were kind of interrogating the idea of what did it mean to be a kind of positive gamer? What did kind of good gaming look like? And then how could they think about convincing others of their ideas and their kind of realities around gaming online? And so it was a kind of 3-module program. Kids moved from kind of defining terms and experiences to trying to think about who could they actually talk to about this? Would it be a policymaker? Is it a teacher? Is it a parent? And then moving to kind of develop media strategies for reaching out to those folks. We had a partnership with TED Ed, which I mentioned also in my talk. And those talks are going to premiere, I think, on Tuesday, tomorrow night. And we worked with an amazing set of young people to support them in developing talks. And of the 30 students that we worked with, 5 of those were then coached by people from TED on their talks. And those 5 young people will be giving their talks tomorrow. And then, so that's mostly it. And we've been working kind of broadly. Again, the Connected Camps example I mentioned, we do a lot of work with young people trying to figure out how to really elevate their voices and understand what their experiences are like.
Yeah. All right. Well, awesome. Wow. Well, while we've been running these fantastic youth-based programs, we've also been out there having conversations about the initiative. If we can go back to the slides, that'd be awesome. So
sure.
along with members of the RGG Advisory Board, thanks, Katie. While we've been, so we're working with the RGG Advisory Board, which is a fantastic makeup of people from all different disciplines, the games industry, researchers, educators, policymakers, all really focused on this issue. Well, we've been presenting at different industry events with them, such as South by Southwest, Connected Learning Society, IGF, USA, and Karoo. We've also been writing blog posts and contributed to research with organizations such as the Anti-Defamation League, the Joe Gans Cooney Center, and FOSI. And finally, this is one of the most exciting parts, we've been collaborating with media partners on creating resources for youth and adults. And it's on this last point that I'd like to share that this summer, Raising Good Gamers is partnering with Cartoon Network to support their award-winning pro-social initiative, Stop Bullying, Speak Up, with the development of resources and a PSA that will air on their channel and website. So now I'd like to welcome Jill King to our conversation. Jill is the Senior Vice President of Marketing and Partnerships at Warner Media. She oversees the marketing efforts and leads brand partnerships and experiential marketing for Cartoon Network and Adult Swim. Welcome, Jill.
Hi, Susanna. Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here today with you, Katie, and the community.
Oh my gosh, this is like a dream come true for me because we haven't spoken about this in a long time, but I come from the children's media world and I helped make children's programs back in the day. So now the fact that in my role at Games for Change and working with Katie, the fact that we're bringing it all together and helping and working with you and reaching your community on Cartoon Network about these issues that are so important about for youth and bullying and acting pro-social in games, that we've all kind of pulled this off together. So I'm super excited.
So why don't look forward to being in person next year?
Yeah, right. Let's please all do it in person. So why don't we have you call up some slides and you can talk a little bit about the campaign that you've been running for years and what this partnership produced.
That sounds great. Great. Well, hi, everybody. As Susanna said, I lead marketing for Cartoon Network and Warner Media Kids and Family. Thank you so much for joining today. Just a little bit of background on Cartoon Network. We are a global brand. We're in over 410 million homes in 21 different languages, and we have 3 renowned studios, Warner Brothers Animation, Cartoon Network Studios, as well as a new studio, Hanna-Barbera, which we recently announced in the EMEA region. So what I like to tell people is we have incredible reach and relevance that we can really use for good. So I'm here today to talk a little bit about Stop Bullying, Speak Up, which has been our top pro-social initiative for 10 plus years. And we have been working really hard to give kids tools to face bullying, as well as to stop bullying before it starts by creating more inclusive communities and really prioritizing kindness, compassion, and empathy. So we always partner with best-in-class partners. Let's go to the next slide, please. And the next slide, please. Great, thank you so much. So we partner with best-in-class partners such as most recently, the Cyberbullying Research Center. And based on, kids, the number of kids using gaming apps, as well as the time that they spend on gaming apps, we wanted to conduct the first ever nationally representative study on cyberbullying. So we partnered with the Cyberbullying Research Center to field this study. And one of our key findings and one of our key learnings is that 1 in 5 tweens have experienced cyberbullying in some form, whether they have experienced bullying themselves, whether maybe they were the perpetrator or a bystander. And the other really important finding was that kids are more likely to experience that bullying instance 4 times more likely within gaming communities. So we wanted to take that key learning, turn it into a positive, and create a campaign that really focuses on play positive. So we partnered with Raising Good Gamers as our subject matter experts. We're thrilled that Katie and team were able to collaborate with us on messaging. Let's go to the next slide. And we'll be launching this campaign today. We'll be launching tools for kids and parents on our Stop Bullying Speak Up website, as well as a toolkit and a family code game night challenge for families, as well as 2 PSAs. So I'm going to talk to you about the PSAs, and then we'll do a quick creative share. Our first one is real kids modeling positive behavior while they're playing games. And the second is leveraging our beloved Cartoon Network characters to give kids tips about how they can play positive and what they can do if they experience bullying within a gaming community. So just want to very quickly thank the Raising Good Gamers team for their amazing collaboration. We're thrilled that we're launching this campaign today. It's just the start of a long-term commitment that we have as part of our Stop Bullying Speak Up initiative. And with that, let's share the creative.
Whoa, watch it. Whoa, they're running at us. I got him. But do you have any bandages? I got you. Oops. Watch it, watch it. Oh, you choked. Get out of the game. Sorry. You're trash. Stop playing like a girl. Why so salty? Don't go toxic, dude. She's playing like a noob. Someone hit the redo button. I got you. Oops. Watch it, watch it. Sorry. Oh, that'll work. Thanks. You ready? Yeah, let's do this.
Play positive and stop bullying before it starts. Learn more at stopbullying.speakup.com.
Wow, you're pretty good at this.
Who wants to play video games? Wow, Badger Clubs, you're amazing!
Yeah.
Yeah! One more and we'll have called all the Curlies.
I know! Eat fireballs, bro!
Bigger fireball.
Dang, you're good.
Mic drop.
Garnet, this game is perfect for you. Whoa! I've never seen anyone get this far.
Hey, I'm all about fun, but not being a jerk.
No manners, no respect for my spare.
Dude, we're gonna do it this time. Come on. Hit him! Hit him!
Oh!
And now, we test your ability to trash talk. Jessica, your moves stink like morning breath.
I love and value you as a person, regardless of this fight's outcome! But remember, kids, if you ever have to deal with a bully, be sure to tell an adult. It doesn't really matter if I lose. I always have fun playing!
Oh, Jill, thanks so much for those. It was such an awesome partnership, and just the humor is so amazing in those. I think kids are really, really going to love it, and parents too. So it just seems like a really helpful resource. So thank you guys so much for joining this session, which is a kind of Raising Good Gamers session. We're able to kind of premiere this creative and also give you a little bit of an update of things that we've been working on. I'm going to jump over into the Q&A in the Spark room. There should be a link in chat if you guys want to join me there. I'm happy to, chat about anything related to my talk, but also about Raising Good Gamers more specifically. So look forward to seeing anyone there that wants to join. And thank you so much.